Good evening. It is the 7th of May, 2024, 5 p.m. We are here to convene our special meeting of the Natrona County Board of County Commissioners. Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Frill,
He is on the phone in the adjacent room.
Commissioner Laird, Commissioner Milne,
Here.
Commissioner North,
Here.
Chairman Nick Lason.
Here, I would entertain a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Wyoming Statute 16-4-405, A2 and A3.
So
So-
moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner North, seconded by Commissioner Milne. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Right.
Aye. Any opposed? We are in executive session. Good evening. We will call the meeting to order of the regular meeting for the Natrona County Board of County Commissioners, Tuesday, May 7th, 2024, 5:33 p.m. May we have a roll call?
Commissioner Frill? Here. Commissioner Laird? Commissioner Milne?
Here.
Commissioner North?
Here.
Chairman Nicolason?
Here, please stand for the pledge.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Milne.
I'd make a motion to amend our agenda so that item 7 becomes item 8, item 8 becomes item 7.
That would put the public comments before the adjournment into executive session. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Commissioner Milne, seconded by Commissioner North. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. The agenda is thereby modified. I would, at this time, entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second it.
It's been moved by Commissioner Milne, seconded by Commissioner North to approve the consent agenda items. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The consent agenda items are approved. At this time, we will announce our 2024-2025 County Commissioner Scholarship recipients. This is a joy for the commissioners to be in the position to award these scholarships to students. It's also one of the hardest things we have to do because there's very little criteria. It's not needs-based. It's not who gets the best grades. So we saw over 20, I think, applicants, and we're just really proud of the students in this county, all of them, and hope that they continue all of them, that they continue their efforts. We sure appreciate all of the applicants. We wish we could give out more scholarships, but the three that we're able to give out this year go to Brennan Tyler Rhodes, Christoph T.R. Atkinson, and Britton Butler. So let's give some applause for those three students. The next item under contracts, agreements, and resolutions is the SkyWest fiscal year 2025 MRG request for the period July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. My understanding is that there's some Fly Casper Alliance people in the room. I was hoping you might be able to give us a little background. I know that we just recently approved the MRG for a 6-month period. That is the current 6-month period, basically January 1st to June 30th. This has come back before us a lot sooner than I think we were planning. So I was hoping you could perhaps give us just a brief explanation of why we're dealing with this now. I have a understanding, but I think that the public might want an understanding as well. So welcome, Mr. Januska. Welcome, Ms. Witta from Fly Casper Alliance, and Mr. Januska from the airport. Give us a little background, if you would.
Julian? Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, so you're right, this is a little bit quicker from last time because As you remember, as we were looking at the MRG for the first 6 months of the year, we were almost 3 months, I think about 3 months into that 6 months, as that came before you. Working with the Aeronautics Commission, as you know, in aeronautics, when they approved this, they pay for 40% of the cost. They wanted to get on a schedule where they were taking all the community's requests at the same time and wanted to have this in place before the beginning of the fiscal year. So what they in essence said is we wanted to have any applications for funding in place for their May meeting, which means we had to submit that to them by May 6th, that application, so they could take this up. In listening to the commissioners before, I know you didn't say if the city would contribute to that, the county would, but we heard that what we were hearing from the commissioners is you want other people to have skin in the game. So in working backwards, we approached the city about a contribution. They are including $400,000 in their fiscal year 25 operating budget. That was approved, that was before them on April 9th. In addition, the Advanced Casper Board approved $100,000 towards the MRG at their April 11th meeting. And the Fly Casper Alliance has been working on that last $100,000 to be able to come up with this. So instead of the 60% requirement, as we brought this before the county in the past, we're looking at the 30% of the cost, and this is for the covering the MRG for the fiscal year. So July 1 of this year through June 30th of next year. So the good news is you won't have to hear from us again in this capacity for another year time period, and hopefully not after that. So the way that we have this in the memo is if the state is going to contribute the 40% based upon a contract cost just shy of $2 million, $1,984,733. The county at 30% is the $595,420, which is what the request to you today would be. City of Casper contributed the $400,000, the Advanced Casper $100,000, and as I said, we were working on the other roughly 5% and $95,420.
And I'd like to add that we actually only have about 48,000 of that to complete. We've done about half of that last 100.
Well, again, this is sooner than I think I was anticipating having to address this again, but I understand Wyoming Aeronautics Department makes the rules in this respect as to the timing. You know, I asked, and I think this commission asked for participation from others, including the city of Casper. And I know many of the commissioners have had discussions with not only you, but with other people in the community that have now put skin in the game, including the city. So, you know, you've done what I asked. You got it to the point where I wanted it to be personally, which was half of what it was. You know, this is continues to be, I think, in the aggregate and in consideration of all the circumstances, a good thing for our community, and it's a pay it forward kind of thing. As much as I think it is difficult because a lot of our constituents don't fly Delta Airlines and may never fly Delta Airlines. Maybe their doctors do. Maybe they're the people that they have business contacts do. But I do know that the medical community in particular and the business community in particular, and a lot of our constituents are City of Casper residents, and some of them do fly Delta. My appreciation for your efforts in short, what I think is pretty short order. Are there questions from the commission for Glenn or Casey? Commissioner North.
Glenn, when did you find out that the Aeronautics Commission wanted to do this all at once?
Probably about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
Okay, I'm a little disappointed because I didn't find out about this until last week when I saw our packet. You know, that's a little concerning to me for lack of information. Are you actively pursuing trying to get another airline to fly in here prior, other than Delta right now?
Yes, we are.
Are you having any luck? I'm not going to ask you to give me dirty details, but is it moving forward?
My experience with air service is you will hear about it about 2 days before I hear about it, or 2 days after I hear about it. Literally, the airline will say that they're going to make an announcement in 2 days, and we would not hear about it right before. And then in terms of aeronautics, I think everybody would like, in a perfect world, would like to be able to make a decision on funding service before the service period begins. So the fact that aeronautics basically said, not only us, but everybody, because the other communities, the Riverton, Sheridan, Gillettes, those have been ongoing contracts. So, and they have the same contract. So the communities know that they're going to be considering those requests all at the same time. Ours is a little bit different because we have not been on that normal year cycle. So for aeronautics to be able to say that this is something that they want to probably take up with other applications at the same time, it is not surprising. It's different from us, just the way our MRT is rolled out. But we didn't try to make it a surprise to anybody. But certainly in a perfect world, we want to be able to take action on this, so that if the state happens to say for some reason we're not going to do this, and the airline says, okay, we're not going to do the service. For example, you don't have people ready for trips. So that's in essence what we're doing.
Okay, next question is, where are we at right now with our current MRG? How much has Delta or SkyWest taken out of the funding that we provided that goes all the way through the end of June?
I don't have the dollar number, but I know, the number of passengers that we had, so. We are,
That's January. So for the 3 months, January, February, and March of this year, $612,182.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments from the commission?
Steve, you want to say anything?
I do not have.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Mill?
Not so much a question, but a comment. We did ask you to get more people skin in the game, and you did it. Really do appreciate it. It's good to see one of the two cities participate. It'd be nice if the other one chose to as well, and the town, but it is what it is. You got the numbers to where they are. It's still a hard sale, but this is annual. This is a full year, not 6 months.
Correct.
So it's a little bit more palatable. Not much, but it is. So I appreciate all the hard work, and I know the hard work that's gone into it. But I do appreciate all the work you've done to get it to this point at least.
At this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve the SkyWest fiscal year 2025 MRG request in an amount not to exceed $595,420.
So move.
It's been moved by Commissioner Friel. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Milne. Any further discussion? Commissioner North?
I do appreciate what you guys have done, but my attitude about this has not changed. I still think this is a losing battle that we're pouring money into. And even with this cut in half, the county's still gonna be on the hook for $1 million this year. I mean, calendar year 24. So I just don't think that's the best thing that we could do with that money. I think there's a lot of other things out there. There's a lot of money out there right now that's being called for. And I think we have other things we could use it better on. So, but I don't want you to take that as being anything personal. It's just, that's the way I feel physically.
Any other discussion? Then all those in favor of approving the SkyWest fiscal year 2025 MRG request in an amount not to exceed $595,420, please signify by saying aye. And any opposed, same sign.
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you, folks, for coming in. We appreciate that. The next item under contracts, agreements, and resolutions is the Health Department Building CMAR funding request authorization. We had discussion today at our work session. We had our owner's rep, Tim Shank, Anna Kinder, the executive director of the Natrona County Health Department, and Brandon Daigle. In addition, we had a number of representatives of Sampson, the general contractor. We have two items actually for consideration and approval tonight. One is the funding request authorization, basically to make up to commit to make up the gap between the committed and raised funds of $22.5 million. And the second item is to approve the commencement of the early site work. I think that we probably don't need to have those folks come up again and restate what they already stated. I think commission will have some discussion on this, but I think to start with, I'd entertain a motion to approve those two items.
So moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner Milne. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Friel. Is there any discussion on either of these two items? Commissioner North.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have some concerns on this. I have a lot of concerns about this, and it's not because we don't need a new health department. I'm 100% behind that. I believe that we need to have that. What my concerns are is the financial status and making sure that this is not going to interfere with the other projects that we have. I would have preferred to have had this discussion in a budget discussion when we're actually looking at it and seeing what the real needs are for everything else in the county at the same time, and not moving forward on this until we know what those real needs are. I know some of the other commissioners have looked at those numbers. They're more familiar with them than I am. But I do believe that that's a discussion that should have been done in a separate venue with all 5 commissioners involved in that. I think that's something very important. When we're looking at spending $17 million over what we originally had budgeted, that's a lot of money. And I think we have a fiduciary responsibility to the citizens of this county to make sure that we're spending the tax money appropriately and putting it in the right place. And that's one thing that I just feel very strongly about. And so I would have preferred to have done that separately, had more time to discuss this instead of finding out and reading all this stuff just in the last few days in our handout, for what the meeting is today, and then going through it this afternoon. I just have some more questions that I don't feel comfortable with right now. That's all it amounts to. If I had the answers to all those questions, I wouldn't be saying this right now, but right now I just don't feel comfortable with the information that I have.
Other discussion?
Steve?
Commissioner Milne?
Mr. Chairman, every project that we've been trying to get done, not just us, but others, has run into significant cost overruns, both in the private sector and public that I know of. There's very few of them that aren't going over. Maybe not by this much. This is pretty significant. Some of these contingencies, though, if they're not used, come back. They are trying to cost save funds, as was explained earlier today. I would also like to have this, closer to the budget or after the budget, where we knew where our numbers were a little bit better, but I understand the need to move forward. It's an unfortunate fact, but it is a fact that if we don't, we lose that cost savings. We put the project behind, which will only cost more. Yeah, we really need to keep an eye on the ball here and try not to go any further than where we're at already. That'd be about it.
Thank you. A couple things. First of all, we have been aware of this since 2022, the summer and fall. And I know the health department, and I know I have worked as the health department liaison, have worked on this quite a bit over that period of time. It's not accurate to say this is over budget. In fact, it really hasn't been budgeted. What we have decided to do as a commission is build a health department building for Natrona County. And the number we got after having MOA architecture do some preliminary work, after engaging them to design a project that would fit after a lot of analysis with the health department folks, investigating things, including a whole bunch of different sites, was that this would be $34.5 million. That was February 2nd. So February 2nd, we had a price tag of $34.5 million, but that did not include some of the what are called soft costs, which we have at $7.2 million. And Mr. Daigle and the team went over what that $7.2 million is, which includes things like fees for our professionals. And I think there's a contingency in there. And there's some other things in there as well. So we didn't have that $7.2 million number February 2nd. The number we did have, though, again, is $34.5 million for the construction of the building. They brought that down through to $31.5 million. So we brought the number down $2.2 million. In addition, they are trying to work on some additional cost savings, and they have a number of contingencies in there. And we heard basically In fact, I think very clearly that what we had in front of us were worst-case scenarios. So we're not $17 million over the budget. We're not $12 million over the budget. What we've raised is $22.5 million, and I know that the team is trying to work to raise more, and I'm aware that the health department has actually applied for, and is in the process of applying for another grant. So we'll hope that that number continues to work in our favor. What we're being requested, just for clarity, is a commitment for that 16.9 or rounded up to $17 million number. And we talked even to the treasurer today at our work session about a plan for coming up with those funds. I think we do have a plan for those funds that is in part from our already reserved 1 cent capital construction funds, and in part from the interest to be earned off of our hospital sale funds principal. And I think that that's a very reasonable and conservative plan. I think we also heard from the treasurer that just this fiscal year, there's been $1.5 million earned in interest because of the moves that we made earlier this year, and because of the market just in general. So think about the blessing that we have in the form of that roughly $95 million from the sale of the hospital facilities. So I think all that said is we're being asked to commit to this number, and it will be included in our budget moving forward. But we will continue to work on all of the other items, and I agree with Commissioner North. There are a whole lot of items out there that we're going to have to pay for, but I'm confident we have a good plan for this. Any other discussion? Then all those in favor of approving both the commitment for funding and for the, I want to get this right, the site. The proceeding forward with the $5.3 million, which is included in the in those other earlier numbers, before the early site work package, so that commencement on site can occur. I'd entertain that motion. Oh, wait, sorry. We have the motion. We're clear on the motion. Calling for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign.
Aye, for the same reasons that I mentioned earlier.
Thank you. That motion passes. At this time, we'll have public comment. Please approach. And ladies and gentlemen, if you would please hold your applause tonight, I would appreciate it. We'll get through things more efficiently. It does, I think, nothing for the applause. We recognize good speakers and those who may not be as proficient. So we have 5 minutes allocated to each speaker. Ma'am, go ahead.
Rosemary Saban, Natrona. The Constitution of the United States was drafted and established to limit the government, not the people. People cannot prosper in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness when all our efforts and ambitions are penalized. You enforce your will alone in spending our money and enabling only elite others to profit, without public comment, the most important proponent of the government. Such is the case in the ongoing Delta subsidy. Approval to attain grants for a walking path in undeveloped and unpopulated areas of this county. Family bombs. Being told this taxpayer-funded courthouse has a policy adopted to limit and discourage petitioning the government for a redress of grievances. The very devalued sale price of the county hospital and now the over-budgeted price of the public health department. Why, when other locations were offered with level terrain and utilities on site, is it not utilized over the parcel acquired from the city? a parcel that requires extensive excavation and the requirement of stable soil to be hauled in for construction to begin. Increased cost for retention walls and the facility itself. Was this really a better use of the people's tax dollars? A location that is now roughly 17 million over budget? This commission and our government in general are writing checks from the people's piggy banks they are not able to cash. That's going to come with a reckoning at the ballot box. Is any elected representative of this board delegated more governing authority than any of the others? Is Mr. Nicolasen's voice the only one the people are entitled to hear? Should other commissioners not be permitted to ask questions of hospital members in affairs of the people's interests? Does Mr. Nicolasen have the authority to approve changes in work orders without informing other elected representatives of this commission? Why is Pat Sweeney, who was unelected by the people, who has testified against all meaningful property tax relief in support of more taxation of the residents, who just supported another tax to the residents, somehow influential enough to stop certain members of this commission from doing their due diligence? Mr. Nicolasen, from your actions, can you explain why you believe you're not a dictator? People of Natrona County, there is so much going on in our government at this time that it's never been more important for you all to be involved in all matters. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
All nervous, sorry. I might go a little over, but my husband's here. If I do, he can take over, or if you're kind enough to let me. It's only like a minute or two. Phew.
Hi,
Hi,
would you please state your name and your address?
Christy Sutton, 5223 Squaw Creek Road. Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, my name is Christy Sutton. My husband and I live on Squaw Creek Road. I was hoping to not have to share our story publicly, but we feel it necessary and very important to let you know the magnitude of how a gravel pit could personally and negatively impact our lives if it were to come to fruition. We're from Idaho, but have lived in Casper since 2020. My husband has been working here since 2011 and was commuting back and forth to Idaho as much as possible while I stayed behind so our two youngest children could finish their schooling in the town where they were born and raised. This allowed us to still keep a connection with our familiar community and home of 30 plus years, our 4 children and 2 grandchildren. We knew that one day after the kids were grown and settling comfortably into their adult lives, that we would sell our family home and make a new home for us here in Casper. We'd been looking throughout those 9 years to see what was available in the real estate market for this area. We thought it could be a good time to downsize and simplify our lives and better prepare ourselves for retirement. While considering what that would look like, we did have some specifics of what we were hoping to find that would be of great value to us. We like living in a rural area, close to nature and away from the hustle and bustle of a busy town. We were also wanting a domestic water well, natural gas, secure yard for the animals, etc. It was fun to see what was out there, and we got excited thinking about the possibilities of living in a new home and city. We knew the time would eventually come to make the big move. In 2019, our youngest son, Boo, unexpectedly passed. We weren't prepared to say goodbye that soon, but we are beyond grateful for the years we did have together. Our hearts are broken, but no, he wouldn't want us to be sad. So in honor of him, we gracefully forge on. He left behind a 6-month-old blue heeler named Jeffrey, which if you know anything about this kind of dog, they're a working breed and need a job to do regularly and consistently to be their best happy self. We were on board for that. Not long after his passing, our house in Idaho sold. Now came the task of finding a new place for us and the critters to live. We saw the property on Squaw Creek listed for sale. It had a lot of things we were looking for, but was bigger than we were wanting. We said, let's just go have a look. The 20-acre property is along the foothills of Casper Mountain, surrounded by state land. It is rural, but conveniently close to town in a serene and gorgeous setting with incredible views in every direction. The house was built in 1971, and there are 2 large barns that were added somewhere along the way. Things were in pretty rough condition, with 50 years of wear and tear that was showing it would require some serious commitment, strong discipline, hard work, and most likely a big chunk of money to get everything in good working order. We left that day after having a look and did some serious contemplating. Were we up for the task at hand? What would that look like for us if we move forward in making an offer, beginning such a major project at this stage of our lives? This was a huge decision to make, and there wasn't a lot of time to waste. We saw potential, but knew this was no small feat. With our hearts needing healing, we felt this was an opportunity to help move through our grief and pour all the love of our boy into every part of the project. We trusted it would benefit us and Jeffrey. We knew we could give it the attention it desperately needed while adding some value to help with our future. We nervously yet enthusiastically decided to make a go of it. It has been very rewarding and is most definitely a labor of love. The daily gift is being in the beauty of such a unique place and knowing that our son still plays a big part in everything that we do and have done thus far. Since our arrival, it has been a nonstop continuum of process. Intense physical work and long hours hauling multiple trailer loads to the landfill with anything and everything from bags of pigeon and raccoon poop to miscellaneous farm items and debris left behind by previous owners. We enjoy repurposing and utilizing salvage materials and do what work we can ourselves, but have had to hire out professionals for specific jobs. My husband and I reset, rewired, hand sanded, and sealed over 250 fence posts. We removed dilapidated structures that were no longer safe or usable. We retinned both barns, 1 outbuilding, and installed a large overhead shop door, gutters, downspouts, and drainage ditches. We brought in 490 tons of road base to level flooring and have access roads to structures on the back property. We also had to rezone the property to be able to convert a tack shed into a bunkhouse for our elderly aunt. This required a major electrical overhaul to bring to current codes, etc., along with running plumbing to the building. We installed a new septic system and year-round water line with yard hydrants, repainted wood buildings, and put new roofs on all buildings. We continue to mitigate overgrown weeds and reclaim overburdened and excavated areas. Honestly, this is not even close to everything we've done, and there's still more to do. I can truly say it has been an extremely busy few years. These were not simple overnight or easy tasks, nor was it inexpensive. We have given this property everything we have, literally. Our goal is to generate financial appreciation here, but instead we are threatened to lose it all. I spend 10 to 12 plus hours most days outside working on and maintaining the multitude of projects that continue to present themselves. Despite the incredible workload, I love being out there so close to nature and seeing the variety of wildlife that visit most every day. We installed a trail cam on the fence line to our back acreage. Every morning when I turn on my phone and get a ping notifying me of an activity, I'm excited to see which critters strolled by in the night.
Ma'am? Can you
Wrap it up?
wrap it up if you would?
I'm so close. Do you want,
Keep going.
okay,
Keep going.
sorry. Okay. We have mule deer, white deer, antelope, coyotes, fox, raccoons, skunks, turkeys, mountain lions, and feral kitties. There's bull snakes and rattlesnakes all around, and 3 golden eagles that roost throughout the winter on the pointy hill behind our house in section 36 where Prism will mine. A large variety of birds flutter about and sing their songs regularly, which is such a delight. These are added bonuses, and we feel exceptionally fortunate to be able to share such space with all of nature. Our property is bordered by 3 of the school sections that the proposed gravel pit company has leased on state land. According to the map and mileage scale on their website, it shows our properties within 1 mile of each of these sections were directly downwind, downhill, downstream of section 36. If they proceed, there's a high probability that any mining will certainly interfere or interrupt our water supply. This is hugely disturbing and would be devastating. Our shallow wells are dependent on the type of winter-spring precipitation we have. Since living here, we've noticed the variables of seasons when assessing our land. We have a sump pump that removes excess water from around the house foundation. Last year was a heavy precipitation, and about this time for more than 2 months it was going off every 15 minutes. This year it hasn't gone off once. We'll be very cognizant of our water usage. It's this delicate.
Ma'am, please wrap it up.
Okay. Along with the water issues, the wind, it's no joke. It gets intense out there. If a gravel pit is in that location and with the southwest direction that the wind comes from the greater percent of the time, it will no doubt send dirt and sand blowing our way and surely sandblast us, the animals, and our entire property, and most definitely will drive out everything that lives there. The two other sections, 30 and 31, are due east behind our house. Instead of being able to relax on our back patio and gaze at the magnificent views, animals roaming, watch the sunrise, or see the headlights from the lookout on Casper Mountain, we'll be staring at a gravel pit and listening to the heavy equipment run, buzz, and beep 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. This does not sound appealing and was not on our checklist. There's so many reasons why this mine should not be allowed. It seems so obvious. Since first hearing about the proposed pit, a lot of us living out here have become increasingly anxious and concerned. Our quality of life and peace of mind has been completely disrupted. There's so much in jeopardy and at risk here. Everything we've worked so hard for is tremendously compromised. Help us to protect this incredible mountain, its valuable resources, the wildlife, our investments, our sanctuaries, our well-being. Let this be a part of your legacy for Casper and its people. Please do not allow PRISM to create this kind of irreparable damage to this land or our community. We will all be forever grateful. Thank you.
Gentlemen. My name is Bruce Coates, Field Creek Ranch. My boy Casey's up in Riverton. I don't know if you guys have any representatives up there going through the floodwater and wastewater management schools. So one of the things that came up today that they had him check on, and this kind of changes everything in the scope of the county and what your guys is and the slip board. Squaw Creek is a regulatory floodway, so is Field Creek, so is Bates, or the whole face of the mountain along there is all designated regulatory floodways. The county is part of the National Flood Insurance. You guys have maps that bring these up there, which regulate you with the insurance. And if you can bring them up and you guys can study them, you'll see where you're at, because part of this is we'll be renewing your application for your flood insurances. Changes to the floodways on the face of Casper Mountain present a threat to life and property along the entire western mountain face. Mining in a regulatory floodway is generally not permitted or heavily regulated due to the potential environmental impact and risks associated with flooding. Regulatory floodways are areas designated to carry and discharge floodwaters during a flood event. And allowing mining activities in these areas could exacerbate flooding, cause erosion, harm ecosystems. Regulations regarding land use development in floodways vary by jurisdiction, but they are typically prioritize safety and environmental protection. So basically, this doesn't fall under DEQ now. Now this falls under EPA, and the only people that can actually really make, because this becomes a federal deal now. So what happens now is to have anything there, FEMA has to get involved, redesign these floodplains, what's going to be there. Now in Squaw Creek, you've got 250 homes down there. Now you're changing the whole floodplain. The county is liable now under this, your flood insurance. So it changes everybody's flood insurance in there, the whole face of the mountain. So this is just came up today when Casey's up there in the school, and it's carrying a lot of merit. He'll have more. He's going to be with the state, the people that handle the insurance, which I'm pretty sure Dave, you're probably aware of them. So anyway, I just bring that to your attention. So it's just a new chapter in the book. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Jane Ifland. I live in Casper at 406 East 8th Street. It's pretty close to the middle of town, and I've never actually walked on the sections that are under discussion. But I have walked on similar sections, and they're not making any more of them. If this piece is sacrificed for profit, we will have misunderstood the purpose of the school sections. The school sections are for the benefit of the populace of Wyoming. And it's really, really easy to figure that in terms of dollars. 1, 2, 3,000, whatever the numbers are. It's a lot harder to compute the value of those school sections in ways that aren't susceptible to quantification. How do you put a price on solitude? How do you put a price on stepping onto our land to go for a walk, see what you might see, escape whatever yammering is going on in your home? And that aspect of this question, I think, is critical. For me personally, I'm pretty sure that every breeze that blows through my trees and through my lungs, if I may say so, comes from the Southwest. And that's where that gravel pit, if you allow it to be put there, will be generating dust that will damage my already damaged health. And I would ask that you consider not only the people who live in that area, but also the people who live right around me who are going to have to breathe that air. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, County Commissioners, my name is Kyle True. I'm with Prism Logistics, and I want to personally invite all of you to the Ramcota Thursday from 6:30 to 8:30. When I came before, we talked about how this subject has garnered a great deal of public interest, and there are many concerns and questions. So we think it's important to have a dialogue. Might want to restart the clock. To have something like this be discussed multiple times in a larger venue than a 5-minute setting. I'm not criticizing the 5-minute setting, but we want to have multiple of these. So the first one that we're going to have is going to be Thursday night. I was approached by a group called Liberty's Place for You, and they said they wanted to do sort of a public service on a topic of local interest. So I plan to speak for about a half an hour showing our different thoughts for how we can creatively and proactively address each of these concerns and in a really proactive and creative way facilitate multiple use of our state lands. School sections have been mentioned. The purpose of school sections is to generate funds for the school districts and to do that in a way that harvests what we need as a society from these lands, but maintain and preserve our natural environment and even leave it better than we found it. So our first conversation about this will be Thursday night. It's open to the public. It's at the Ramcota, 6:30 to 8:30. However, I am aware that you're busy people. You have many things to do. Thursday night may be scheduled. We can't live stream it. I don't have enough followers on YouTube to figure out how to live stream something. So we will be videoing, and then we will be uploading it either onto our website or YouTube. I can send you an email later. So if you're not able to make it, you'll be able to watch it later and hear and consider, all these concerns. I think it's great. Well, I love living in the state. It's a mixed blessing that the government owns so much land. I wish the federal government owned dramatically less land. I like the state owning land. But then we have to figure out how to do multiple use. And so we want to have a respectful back and forth dialogue and plenty of time for questions and discussion at this event. So you're all welcome to attend.
That's this Thursday?
This Thursday at the Ramcota from 6:30 to 8:30.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I see a show of hands, how many people would like to speak tonight? Great, thank you.
Commissioners, thank you for letting us speak this evening. My name's Carolyn Griffith. I live up on Coates Road, and I don't have the petitions with me tonight. Somebody else has them, but I just really have one, I think, significant comment. I think you all got a letter today from the Casper Mountain Preservation Alliance, and one of the first points, and I think it's significant here, having heard some of the comments about water, is one of the first points was when the DEQ came out and investigated the exploration sites that had violated their own regulations of stipulation 117, and that being within 300 feet of the side of a stream. They had two people from PRISM with them. It was Kyle True and Chris Fair. One of them evidently told them that the Squaw Creek didn't have water flowing in it the day that they were there to do exploration activities. And we have people that, Bruce Coates being one of them, his parents were there, his grandparents were there, and I bet you they could attest, were they here today, that that creek has run the entire time. FEMA would not designate that creek as a floodplain, or that area as a floodplain, had that not be a running creek. So within that packet that you also receive are two affidavits with residents that live on either end of Squaw Creek, one at the headwaters and one down below, and they can attest that that creek indeed was running all through February. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
I forgot one important point, and that was, you know, we're to trust the process, and I feel like, how can we trust that where they're going to mine is not going to damage our water if they can't even realize that there's a perennial stream that's running that they went across even the day that they did the investigation to go look at the exploration site. Thank you.
Hello, gentlemen, ladies. Oh, no bending, sorry. I'm not a public speaker. My name is Sherry Cole. I live at 4080 Squaw Creek Road. Squaw Creek will be the first tragedy when they start digging up there. There's 40-ish homes that I know of right on Squaw Creek, and then there's Brandywine and Swingle Acres. So everyone's on a well except for one person. In 2020, the city put in a water line along the 10 acres that I live on. It goes down the driveway, and it goes north, and then it crosses east over to Swingle Acres, then it connects into the municipal. It was mainly put in for a fire hydrant, because we had a fire and they had to haul all their water in from Silver Fox to put this fire out. There's no water there. So now we have fire hydrant water. I don't know how big that pipe is, but it's big enough for a fire hydrant. So you can tap into that water line at our expense if you want to a point till it has been overcapacitated. I looked into that, and I only need 40 feet. It goes right down my driveway. So just the city fees and the meter and all the red tape fees is about $4,500. So that's anyone that wants to tap into that water line. The 40 feet I would need would be another close to 4,000, so almost 10 grand for me to go 40 feet to have water. And I'm lucky, I'm right next to it. I can't imagine what would what these people up the road would have to pay for to hook it into that water line. The other thing I was told is the size of the pipe isn't a residential size. It was made for the fire hydrant, and a couple of people have tapped into that, but nobody's needed to. We haven't worried about it. If we do, we're going to need a bigger pipe, and we're going to need more infrastructure. And that process doesn't happen overnight. We're going to be out of water for how long? I mean, this isn't proven that we're going to be out of water, but it isn't proven that we're not. I mean, that's our big concern, right? So I just want to say back in March, when we were getting tested for the static water level, the guy who did that, he broke something on my pump. And I was without water for 7 days. And for 7 days, I kept turning on the water. You just are used to that. That's what we're used to here. And I'm not, discounting third world countries or whatever, but we are used to that. I live with my elderly mom, and I have a small farm. I need water. We all need water. It's very important for us to have water. And until you can prove that that's not going to mess up our water, we are going to think that it is. So I hope the water is the big issue here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. Good evening. Name's Tom Carpenter. I've lived within a mile of the school section since 1977. So you can say that I've eaten a pile or two of Coach Road dust. I made a point about a week ago to go up and walk all four corners of the school section, and I have in numerous years past. So I was up there, and I came across 3 sage chickens. Well, we all know what sage chickens do in the state of Wyoming. They run the show. I've worked oil and gas, bird stipulations are the boss. So I visited with a couple people, and they encouraged me to go down and talk to the game and fish, and I did so. I talked to the game and fish, and I put it on record, and I marked the map where I came across those birds. So that's it, all I have to say. I don't want this thing to happen. Nobody in this room does, except for one man. So, commissioners, I ask you tonight, since this is a no vote. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, I'm Paulette Bray. I live at the very end of Coates Road. Matter of fact, I'm the person that drives across Squaw Creek every single day, twice a day, sometimes more. And I grew up there, lived there for 34 years now, and have never seen that there's no water in the creek. There's always water in the creek. So anyways, but I am presenting all of our new petitions that we have tonight. So far, total, we have 6,549, and that is along with our online too. So, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Chairman, Commissioners, good day. Jason Knope, 4760 Ross Ridge Road. just like to let you know that our firm was awarded a new remediation project with the Wyoming DEQ to clean up methane gas, which is in conflict with groundwater. To give you a little bit more of our background and our knowledge of this type of industry and field. So I'd like to go over what we're studying for groundwater studies. I've done a 320 acres groundwater study out in Beebe Brooks, and now we're looking at another 360 acres groundwater study. Well, it'll be west of town, closer to 10-mile area. There's other reasons why we're doing the study in that area, not really subdivisions. But what we go through with these studies and what's required to do something with a simple home versus mining through an aquifer. So you must, one thing which they do require with the LMO and other mines is demonstrate the impact to water quality management, Section 201, Clean Water Act, 33, blah, blah, blah. So that's required. That's required on almost all DEQ projects, but it's pretty straightforward application and process with them. Not a lot of scrutiny with that. To determine that the operation of any systems within the affected area will affect the suitability, safety, or the proposed water system of this area. Determine of any potential impacts of any downgrading users or groundwater wells or any water rights. A subsurface study and a contamination fate and transport analysis demonstration that the groundwater standards contained within Chapter 8 of the Wyoming rules, Wyoming DEQ rules, are not exceeded. Groundwater and surface water use is protected. You've got to do a geological setting of the formations and the aquifers based on well logs, borings, well studies, reports, documentations. You must determine thickness, lithology, the extent of the superficial material, extent of the underlying geological formation, faults, fractures, characteristics of the hydraulic setting of the subdivision by well logs, well studies, well borings. Depth to groundwater includes seasonal fluctuations, degree of groundwater hydraulic confinement, degree of hydraulic connection and interaction between groundwater and surface waters, classification of groundwater that is unconfined or semi-confined, must meet all Chapter 8 requirements, a survey of the existing wells that are permitted by the state engineers within 2 miles, and all of their well logs and permits. State engineers appropriated production volumes of each well that's logged, ambient groundwater quality of the unconfined or semi-confined aquifer. When groundwater is an unconfined or semi-confined, Class 1 confined, determined by Chapter 8, Wyoming rules, horizontal and vertical extent of the aquifer type, flow, diffuse porousness, any conduits, gravel seams within the aquifer, direction, degree, hydraulic gradient, hydraulic conductivity, saturated zone, thickness of saturated zone, porosity, saturated zone conductivity. Unconfined for Chapter 8, Class 1. If it is unconfined, if you're going to put a subdivision in an unconfined aquifer, you have to basically do a super design on any septic systems. There's only 2 areas in our county that are actually in that. If we were to do a subdivision up there, this is an unconfined aquifer, you would have to be to that design standard. So you'd have to drop your fecal chloroform to 800 colonies and your total nitrogen to 25 milligrams per liter, and then you'd have to get it to 10 milligrams per liter at your boundary. So I want to just go through all this because there's a lot of scrutiny that goes with what we do with groundwater studies. And we've studied all 243 wells up there that are in an unconfined shallow aquifer. There is no way that any excavation can be done within this perimeter of this unconfined aquifer that will not affect any of the quality, quantity, or any of the water that goes down to these wells. Even if he doesn't get into the saturation zone, which is very thin because it's an unconfined on a steep gradient, even if he doesn't get into the aquifer, the sediment that does get exhumed will fall into the conductivity of this aquifer and clog up all of the pores and misdirect the water. So even if he tries not to get into it, it will affect all of the water.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, good evening. Michael Fernald, live on Coates Road. Just a couple of quick questions. I was listening to the work session, so sorry, this isn't mine related, so just put that out there. I was listening to the work session earlier today, and I thought I heard that property tax revenue was down this year. Did I hear that correctly?
What he said was revenue was down.
Revenue is down. So overall revenue. Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I was wondering. Thank you.
Other public comment?
Can I have you guys address the codes? You guys update us on our code
Not,
eventually?
not tonight, right here. You can get in touch with us. We can set up an appointment and visit about it if you'd like. All right. Then, there being no further public comment, commissioners, is there a desire to have any commissioner comment tonight? Because we ought to do that before adjourning into executive session. I don't have any in particular. Commissioner Milne?
Mr. Chairman, yeah, I realized that after I made the motion. We should have adjusted it a little bit more. Just a couple things. During our work session, we did talk about property evaluations, and they've all been mailed out. You should all, if you're property owner, you should have received it. If you want to start a review process, you have to do it 30 days within the postmark. So you have up until 5 p.m. Friday, May 17th to start that process. If you have any questions or qualms or want to protest it, you've got to do that before that date. Also, there's, along with the gravel meeting, apparently, there's going to be a road construction meeting for Circle Drive, Muddy Mountain. They'll be at the Ag on the 14th at 5:30 p.m. if you're interested in what's going on that. So you want to attend that. The 14th at 5:30 at the Ag. Down there at the fairgrounds, right? Okay. Also, we've got some new laws for party affiliation with elections and whatnot. So if for some reason you change or want to change, it's got to be before 5 p.m. May 15th as well. I really appreciate you all coming out and letting us know. The participation is nice to see. You're getting a little thinner though. But yeah, no, the participation is still really good to see you all still engaged, still moving forward with this. So congratulations on that. Keep it up. The legislators, they can see this on YouTube. They can see you guys. They know you're interested. The state board knows you're interested in what's going on, are participating, are moving forward with whatever you can. Keep it up. Whether or not how it pans out, we follow the process, we follow the law as directed. That, I can't tell you more than that. And one thing that I can say though is if we ever do come to a point where we have to make a decision between PRISM representation, between you guys, we're going to be so educated on this stuff that it's just going to be ridiculous. So hopefully it'll be, yeah. But thank you for coming out, all of you.
Commissioner North?
I just want to reiterate what Commissioner Milne said. He did a good PSA for us, for the county tonight. But I do appreciate everybody coming out. And I do appreciate Kyle coming out tonight too, as well as you guys. You know, I think it's important to hear everybody and, you know, and have an opportunity to listen. And that's one thing that I have been so impressed with this group of individuals is because your demeanor, your behavior and everything else has been as high as you can get. I can honestly say that I've never sat before a group this big where everybody was cordial, everybody was nice, and everybody treated each other with respect. So I do want to applaud you for that, because that is something that you just don't see today. I mean, there's too many people. You look at the number of riots we've got going around in this country all over the place, and half the people that are there don't even know what they're talking about. They don't even know what the issue is. I can't say that about you guys. Every one of you know what the issue is, and you know it very well, and it strikes home. So I do appreciate that very much, and I just want to let you guys know that. Thanks.
Commissioner Friel, do you have anything tonight?
I apologize for not being there. I'm back in Washington, D.C. this week. I just wanted to put out there, CNFR, we had a meeting on yesterday, and we are actually ahead of schedule on tickets. In fact, there's very few season tickets left out there. We should break records again this year. The crew will be in town and on the ground the end of May to start putting things together, and looks like it's going to be another awesome event. This is 25th year of it, so there'll be all kinds of activities around the city to celebrate 25 years of college rodeo here in town. So I just want to pass that on. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Friel. At this time, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session pursuant to Wyoming Statute 16-4-405A, Romanet 7, and A, Romanet 2.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner North, seconded by Commissioner Milne. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're in executive session. When we return, it will be strictly for the purpose of adjourning our meeting. Thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate it. back after our executive session. Motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.